Oops, my apologies. My apologies. I sometimes forget that. Greetings, everybody. Keith here. Hoping everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, loving life. Want to remind everybody, please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, there's a PayPal link down below for anybody who wants to share some love. And we're going to be talking about credit again tonight. We're going to go over another video by William, Stop, Brandon hyphen Joe. And so let's pull that up. And before we do, we're going to go over something he's going to mention in one of his other videos that I've been I've touched on here lately, as it relates to Americans and their persons, and that is 18 U.S. Code 112, as it relates to protection of foreign officials, official guests, and internationally protected persons. And it says, whoever assaults, strikes, wounds, imprisons, or offers violence, we're going to arrest you. That's an offer of violence to a foreign official, official guest, or internationally protected person, or makes any other violent attack upon the person or liberty of such person. Now, if you guys don't understand duty and liberty, duty is the opposite of liberty, and liberty is the opposite of duty. When you're on duty, you're on duty. When you're at liberty, you're off duty. It's a military term. Of such person. Persons are all of a military style. That is the investment of a national coat, a national investment. If likely to endanger his person or liberty, makes a violent attack upon his official premises, private accommodation, or means of transport, or attempts to commit any of the foregoing, shall be fined under this title, or imprisoned not more than 3 years, or both. Whoever in the commission, again, that's a military term. These are military offices. The police is a standing army. Of any such act, uses a deadly or dangerous weapon, or inflicts bodily injury, shall be fined under this title, or imprisoned not more than 10 years, or both. Whoever willfully intimidates, coerces, threatens, or harasses a foreign official or an official guest, or obstructs a foreign official in the performance of his duties, attempts to intimidate, coerce, threaten, or harass a foreign official or official guest, or obstruct foreign officials in performance of his duties. Did that say intimidates and attempts to intimidate? With the United States and within the United States and within 100 feet of any building or premises in whole or in part owned, used, or occupied for official business or for diplomatic, consular, or residential purposes. That's at Postal Road. Every last one of them is connected by that piece of property that is a postal road, including private parking lots and commercial parking lots. And every last one of those buildings is occupied for official business or for diplomatic, consular, or residential purposes. You are, in fact, foreign. These banks are a central reserve bank system, and it is foreign because it is a corporation. You are foreign. They cannot accept their own deposits. They can only accept foreign deposits. A foreign government, including such use as a mission to an international organization. An international organization, a foreign official, or an official guest, congregates with 2 or more other persons with intent to violate any other provision of this section, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 6 months, or both. These aren't very heavy penalties or anything, but the thing here is to recognized foreign government, foreign official, international organization, internationally protected person, national of the United States. And official guests shall have the same meanings as those provided in 116B of this title. Notice, they don't have national of the United States, but all of a sudden, they include it here. And remember what our definition of national of the United States is. It's a United States citizen. That is an internationally protected person. And so when they attack that person, they are claiming a debt against the United States. That is an attack against the United States national, a national United States. Okay? Does everybody comprehend that? Greetings, Nubs. How you doing,
brother T?
What do you think about 18 U.S.C. 112?
It's I've heard this information before, but it's always good to recap on this stuff because a lot of people have never heard it.
Exactly, because they don't read it. And they go around squawking about non-disclosure. No, it's disclosed. These are all contract terms and conditions according to 48 CFR 52.212-5.
Yep.
They're all placed under executive orders. Except, of course, the one we saw the other night that doesn't. That's at ethics. It doesn't have any authorities. But that's because it's based on principles. Moral principles. It doesn't need to have an executive order because every man is supposed to have some kind of moral principles.
Right. So I listen to you quite often, and it's really interesting because in my leisure time, I also get lazy and watch a show called Vikings. And the things that you talk about, the things that are talked about in general, are very synonymous with how this whole shit got started. Like, if you look back, and granted, it's a fictitious, it does ride along history to a certain degree. Yes, they are. Absolutely. Nevertheless, you know, I get it's a fictitious situation. Nevertheless, the storyline is there. It came from the ancient times and it's still here today. They just got better at wording it.
Yep. And just so you understand the term agent, gentleman, that's the agent. And it's a patronymical thing. So even women, your ID is in a manner of a masculine. It's military. It's a military ID. Get this through your head. And so, yes, the cops, man, everything that carries an ID, that's a military ID. And that is foreign as the gentleman from the spirit. The man follows the manual, but should be guided by the spiritual. We're not guided by the spiritual. We missed the communication here. Before I formed in the belly, go back and watch my video from this afternoon. The mirror of pollution. The mirror of pollution. And it starts out talking about semen. By discharging semen. Pollution is discharging semen without having sex. Women don't have semen. They don't discharge semen. Men do. Men, you're polluting the world. It's your duty to protect them. And because you're not, you're bringing in children in blasphemy. Bastards. Go back and watch that video.
Doesn't the word gentleman, isn't that a title as well?
Well, yeah, it's a noun. That's what I'm saying.
No, I mean like a military title.
Well, it's all military. Understand, man is the one that protects. That's a military faction itself. Okay? So as man, in your military fashion, the man itself is a military term. Man became a living soul. But as soon as you were born, they entered a document into the system, a military fiat document, piece of paper known as cash or money in one form or another, and that is the military fiat. You were entered into the infantry on the infant ward. And then when you become I'm age, an adult, the damn age, where you still hadn't seen God, your true creator, and took upon a nationality, a patronymical set of rules, codes, regulations, even laws written by man, not woman. Man, woman, children.
What
Go
you're
ahead.
saying, it goes, when I say about that show, it just reiterates aspects of what they're portraying on, because they're telling the truth to a certain degree, and they're just
Yeah,
telling it
you
in a
just got to
way
learn
that,
how to read. Yeah, you just got to learn
right.
how to read their script.
Yep.
Let me see here. I'm
No,
grabbing a link to that.
the
I'm
last
grabbing a
thing
link
they
to
were
it.
talking about was the right of land. And I couldn't help but thinking about how you had talked about this land is not sold forever. And that's what they were looking to do. But it's very ironic that it all plays together.
Well, you guys know what a tenant is, right? That's the guy that fills out the lease contract when he should have paid out, or a lease agreement when he should have converted the terms to credit agreement, and then becomes a tenant, right? Because he becomes a tenant in lieu of the landlord. Okay, the tenant in lieu, again, go back and watch that video. I just dropped a link. Lieu is the land. Ten, of course, is the tenth, the title. You're claiming title to the land. You're not supposed to. You're supposed to let them know this is God's land. I'm a stranger and sojourner with them. Aren't you? No, I'm just Hitler's willing executioner. I'm just doing my job. So sickening. So anyway, let's get on to it. The video. Oops. Oops, wrong one. Wrong one. Okay, so we have, again, like I said, Williams, Brandon, Joe. Go check him out. Let me pull his link up again real quick. Sure to let him know I sent you. And there is a disclaimer across the bottom. I believe he offers everything as a free course, so I don't see any conflict with it to begin with, and I believe it's actually in agreement with what I'm trying to do here. Feel free to donate. Again, the PayPal link is down below for anybody who wants to share some love. But other than that, I'm going to keep putting this information out just like he does. So let's take a look at it. And this is bonus video. He says successful conditional acceptance broken down. So and I've not watched this one either. So like I said, I believe this guy's in agreement with most everything I've said so far. So I imagine it's going to keep going the same way. I mean, this guy is very well spoken. He knows the words, terminology, and stuff. Like I said, it's very important. Important.
Okay. You guys wanted it. So here it is. My new podcast station. I have a light. I have a super nice camera that was recommended to me by Jeremy Ryan Slade.
He's picking up.
Whoop, whoop to Jeremy.
Everybody's screaming they wanted
Everything's
to
here,
pick
so
up
I'm just going to jump
their
right into it. This is going to be the conditional
their
acceptance
looks.
that I told you guys, referring to all of my amazing fans on Facebook. Mwah, hello. This is the conditional acceptance that I was telling you guys about. The video, I was going to break it down. $13,000. Pretty effortless. I had a collection agency. So here, I'll break it down for you. We had an audit on a workers' comp policy that ended up going to a collection agency. And then we did a conditional acceptance with the collection agency in order to eliminate $13,000 in debt. So here we go. Let's jump right into it. So here's the conditional acceptance. Let me pull it up. There we go. That should do it. And perfect. You guys should be able to see this. So I wrote this on behalf of somebody else. I replaced some of the personal information. Obviously, 123 conditional acceptance avenue doesn't really exist. So here we go. So we have the date on the upper right. We have conditional acceptance in the center at the top. And then we have the person's name who is writing the conditional acceptance with their title of beneficiary. Okay. We have the hyphen in between the first and the middle name. We have the colon, and then we have family of, and then the last name. We have without prejudice.
And you notice here he put beneficiary, and that would be true because it's the descriptor. You yourself, the living being, the living soul, is the benefactor. That is never going to be described anything more than me, myself, and I. Me, myself, or I. I am the benefactor to Keith. And the family of Little. Okay? I am the benefactor to Keith-Orland and the benefactor family of Little. That's the beneficiary. I'm the benefactor, and as it's described in words in form, it's a different form. So that's the beneficiary, and I am in the form of the benefactor. The beneficiary will always be the paperwork, and it has to be described right, or else they will, and of course qualified through a signature, or they will confiscate, or they will find it, as that is a abandonment.
Which
considered an abandonment.
Having this here reserves all rights, human rights, any type of rights that they may assume we're giving away by writing this documentation. CO, that means care of. Basically what that means is that there's a zip code here, and they can actually use the zip code to place the person in a federal zone. So long story short, CO basically means I don't actually live here. I just accept mail here, which is good.
Right, and that stands for care of. And though it could be considered care of, it could also be considered other things, like customs office. Just like PO doesn't necessarily mean PO box. It could mean purchase office box, in case you didn't know. That's why I'm trying to help enforce people to understand the concept of quit using the acronyms without explaining them. So you don't use acronyms in a mail. You use Brother Keith, :stop, in Ecclesia, :stop on the first line. Care of, :stop, Joyce, :stop on the second line. Keith and Joyce are all lowercase letters. Third line is a street number with its name, which is a street name security, and any apartment number. Again, do not abbreviate. APT stands for appointment. And then, of course, the city and state, and then put square brackets around the zip.
Good, because you don't want anything that would place you as a resident in any sort of certain area. So you should use CO or a PO box.
Goodness gracious. He's on it. I got to get with this guy and show him the codes he's talking about and doesn't even know it. Unless he does know it and just isn't mentioning them like I do. You don't want to be known as a resident, tenant, occupant, dweller, itinerant. You are a sojourner with him. That's a noun of action.
Or something like that on all of your conditional acceptances. And if you want to, you can place brackets around the for the four corner rule, which basically means it's actually very similar to HTML code. When you do the four corners rule, it make sure I have enough space here to show you guys. Yeah. The brackets here, it's a four corners rule. So what that does is it prevents this section from actually being part of the binding contract. You can do that. Or hell, you could just do this. Just have California or New Jersey or whatever. And you don't want to use the abbreviation. The abbreviation is trademarked. So what you want to do is you can just do the state. Hell, you could just do that.
Another good reason. The abbreviations are trademarked. So by using them, you're using copyright material as well, right? Now think about that address. I'm telling you, that is bond information for the Real Estate Investment Trust by the Postal Realty Trust Inc., which is a real estate investment trust that is in cooperation, has a cooperative agreement with the municipalities to issue municipal bonds by subrogating in usufruct the residents, tenants, occupants, dwellers, itinerants. All done under an insurance scheme.
Yes. Ideally, you'd use a PO box. I use PO boxes for everything now. So that would be the ideal.
Those people have direct access to your Social Security account. You gave it to them.
Way to do it. So it would be, PO box 1563 and North Hollywood, California. Now for a PO box, you can use the zip code. It doesn't matter. So you can say 91 whatever 345 or whatever it is. Okay, that's the ideal way to do it. You don't need the CO. If you're going to use a PO box, you can just go like that. If you're going to be using your address, you want to do CO and then address 123 conditional acceptance lane, and then you want to do just leave the zip off or do brackets around the zip if you really want to be extra careful about it. All right. The trustees and their principals. Notice to agent is notice to principal. Notice to principal is notice to agent. That just means that so an agent is one who works on behalf of someone else. So and you want to make sure at all times, here's my trust.
And they all work on behalf of another. They're always telling you, I'm just doing my job. You'll need to talk to my supervisor. And they just keep trying to send you up the line until they find someone that's just going to sit there and shut you down.
Where is it? Trustee Black's Law 4th edition. So if I wanted to look it up, I would go to the very top. And I think you can even use a search function, agent.
Bam! HelloFresh. Guys, shrimp spaghetti with a kick is what we're going to make. You guys know that HelloFresh makes cooking.
I hate commercials.
That's easier said than done. There's a lot of agents here. So we'll just quickly find this. Agent. Agent. I just want to be your agent so badly. Well, don't you want to be my agent? Or secretary of clarifying it. What you want, a person authorized by another to act for him, one instructed with another's business. So
Entrusted. One entrusted with another's business. So when you're using that name and address, you're entrusting the Postal Service and the municipality to handle your business. Do you understand? You entrusted them to handle your business. The name on the top that you've been taught to use, the legal name, is the agent name. You're saying you're an agent, you want somebody else to handle your business because you're not competent. Not competent because you don't know this. Not because you're stupid or you can't read, but because nobody's explained it to you. Pay attention.
Oh, and there's 8 billion other definitions, but basically that does a good job of clarifying it. What you want, and here it is, just in case you couldn't see it in the video, right here. First one. So like a lawyer or a secretary or, whatever. It could be anything. Literally anybody. So it's a beautiful thing to put in your conditional acceptance. The trustees. So the trustees would mean like the person that you're writing to, like for example, here we're writing to Steve, family of Wolf, who is an executive of McCarthy, Burgess and Wolf, which is the collection agency. So he would be a trustee of our account because he's supposed to be taking care of us and that kind of thing. They're trying to always flip the script and make us the trustees, but they're not. They're actually the trustees and we're the beneficiaries. So you're basically just clarifying that of which is, and it should be very clear. But if you don't say it, they can assume other things. And then the way law works is if they assume other things and you don't rebut it, then it becomes truth in law. So anything you can say to clarify anything is always good. Some people go really overboard with that. It's really annoying, but to find that middle ground where it's like not 15,000 pages of clarification, but it's clear anyways, is really kind of the way to go. I try to make these as readable as possible for the person who's going to be reading them. I've seen a lot of people who want to write all this crazy ass shit, and it's like, okay, it's not fantastic in my opinion. You want to make this somewhat readable as you can. So, number one, we've got Steve, family of Wolf, executive of McCarthy, Burgess and Wolf, certified mail, return receipt requested. We have the number, and then we have Barry, family of P.I.G.S.C.U.N.T.S, and he's the CEO of P.I.G.S.C.U.N.T.S Financial. So basically, because this is where the account's coming from, is P.I.G.S.C.U.N.T.S Financial. So these guys, Burgess and Wolf, these guys actually took over the account as collection agent. And I asked them, I said, do you guys buy the debt, or did you just get approved to collect the debt? And they didn't buy it. They actually were just working on behalf of P.I.G.S.C.U.N.T, which was still holding the debt. Stuff like that's important.
And the holder is liable. The holder is the liable party. Okay? And the liability is in the record. That's why they're liable, because the liability is in the record. Understand this. Okay? The debt collector has no authority to even speak to you. They're not the holder of the debt. And if they are, and they bought it from someone else, that debt was relieved. It was discharged upon that purchase.
Because you need to find out, did they actually buy it, or are they just contracted to collect it? It's a big, big, big difference between those two things. So it's a good thing to find that out. So Barry is the CEO, sent him one at his main address here, certified mail.
Either way, they're trying to collect a debt, which is an obligation of the United States. And they're violating the internationally protected person by claiming they owe the debt.
A return receipt.
That's what's enlarging the debt against the United States. If you understand this and quit allowing them to use that person as a way to obtain money, property, labor, or services on your credit without giving you credit, that's doing the same thing to the United States. It's not giving credit to the United States. And they're getting away with it because the state maintains its interest, and nobody's mentioning the United States, the state's daddy, the state's principal.
Then we go down and we have with completion of service and designation of witnesses too. So what does that mean? That means basically you have trust.
And feel free to stop me anytime you want to interject there, Nubs. So just to let you know. And the link is down there for anybody else wants to join the panel. It'd be great to have some other objective views.
I'm just listening. It's very fascinating and very relevant to my life.
Yep. Well, it should be relevant to everybody's. Again, go back and watch today's video, Mirror of Pollution. Mirror of Pollution. That's what we are born into. Pay attention. It's got all kinds of clues in there. I think I broke it down very well, and I used the different objective views of the etymology and showed how everything correlates. The words that they're using, no matter what language, is the problem. They're not the words in your heart. They're the words you've been taught to remember and learn in your mind. And yes, agents are delegated by a board. Postal Regulatory Commission is a military stance of a corporate board. They're the same thing. One's admiralty military, one's maritime commercial.
Trustees, and your trustees are the
that's that dual jurisdiction that Paul keeps talking about.
Attorney General of your state, the Attorney General of the United States. These are people who essentially work for you as trustees, right? So Merrick E., family of Garland, that is the United States Attorney General. So what's happening is that when they sign for this document via the certified mail, what they're doing is they are agreeing to witness the fact of this contract being served. So when you send something through the mail, certified mail isn't necessarily technically the way it works, but everyone does it certified mail pretty much. It's actually registered mail. That's the way you actually serve someone through the mail properly.
And priority mail, look at it. It's got a little registered mark on there. Priority mail is registered mail.
Yes, it is.
This is the first conditional acceptance I've ever really done. It was successful, so that's why we're going over it, but it may not be the best example ever. So I will take some time to break down the next one. The next one that I've done that I just sent about a week ago is about 50 times better than this one. So I'll show you that one once it's successful. I don't like sharing things until they're successful because that's just fucking dumb in my
Pay attention. Don't share things until they're successful.
opinion. All right. So let's go to the witness to. So we're going to have the United States Attorney General. They are going to witness this document through certified mail. So when they sign for it, that's just like, hey, I got this, I witnessed it. And then later on, if there's ever a problem, you have the freaking United States Attorney General who witnessed your document. Then we have Rob, family of Bonta here in California. He's the Attorney General. Same thing for him with his own certified mail return receipt requested. You can get a bunch of certified mail little ticket things from the post office, and you can just take them home and you can use them like this. And then this one here, I put on here, all copies of mail will be original wedding signatures, autographs by my hand and notarized individually. That's just cool. And this is regarding alleged AmTrust financial debt on account number. I took the account number out. Policy number, I took the policy number out. Workers' comp policy. All original communication is enclosed with documents, document headed to Steve, family of Wolf, location, as they are the debt collection agency working for AmTrust Financial. No dispute is current or active involving your offer, and acceptance is contingent on the following, on the conditions in this affidavit. So
when they make a claim, you're telling them there is no dispute, or no dispute is current or active involving your offer. They're making you an offer, okay? And acceptance is contingent on the conditions in this affidavit. I love this guy. This is great. Very short and simple. Conditional acceptance.
basically what that means is
It's almost like that one where I asked them for a true bill when they said that they weren't going to let my companion or they were going to stop providing my companion's benefit services if she didn't pay those bills. So I asked them for a true bill, and I accepted for value. If it would have been different, I could have done the same thing, conditional acceptance, and put my acceptance conditions on there in affidavit. So long as it's considered, uh, this is not a general deposit, but a special deposit. So and so long as it's understood that the customer is credit is given to the customer's account. Learn the language and learn how to make short, concise statements.
Yo, we're buddies, we're pals, we're friends. I don't have a problem at all whatsoever. There's actually, it's called honor and dishonor. Those are the two words that I'm not going to get into too much because it's really complicated. But basically, like, in a court of law, only disputes are seen. So what you're doing is you're like, yo, what's up, boy? Like, hey, no problem, dog. Got your shit. Love it. Like, here's the deal.
Okay, real quick here. I really don't know who you are, Daddy's GPT, but you really got to get off that kind of thinking, because I've got another video here. He's driving around with his own plates from the DOT, diplomatic counselor. So again, folks, this is not a matter of going into their administrative courts. They cannot and will not do anything for yourself. You have to correct that record, and that can only be done in private. That's what this guy is doing. He's correcting everything in private by privately accepting these things and letting them know the terms and conditions that he understands, and letting him know that there's no dispute. And when he puts the terms in the affidavit, they have to either agree with them or dispute them. Now, who's bringing the controversy? If you're putting down their very own definitions and terms that they may or may not be familiar with yet. Think about it, people. You got to quit believing that people have to show evidence in court. You're not going to get it. I guarantee you, you will never go anywhere in those courts. Yeah, they might give you an award for a small suit, maybe even $1 million, but I guarantee you, your birth certificate is worth $100 million, folks. If not much more. I've seen them written out for $100 billion through the SEC. And if you think the SEC is going to sit there and accept $100 billion and everybody else can say, no, that's not true, the SEC is going to tell you, yes, it is. It's on their site. You better do your research before you go running off with your mouth. A man's intellect is limited and biased by his vocabulary, people. And until you understand that identification is the trap. When you go to court and want to serve on a jury, they ask for that ID. They're asking for the information on that ID so they can access your account, so they can pay you the measly amount for that jury duty, and then kipe all the rest on the backside because you gave them a bond instrument and didn't qualify a fucking signature one. Bitch ass slaves, come on.
Want to pay you desperately, want to get on my knees, suck you off desperately, but there's a couple of things that I need you to just clarify before we do that. And that's kind of how you want to communicate in all of your communications. Just like that. If you do it just like that, you will not get into what's called dishonor.
Thank you.
Dishonor is where you get fucked. And they write all.
Thank you. Just be aware of your words before you just go typing shit in. You've got to be comprehensive about this stuff. And until you learn it, all the things that you're saying just make you sound like an idiot. That's all I'm saying.
All of their bills and they do all of their shit to try to create as much dishonor as possible. So if they can piss you off, if they can freak you out, if they can get you fucking, that's perfect for them, because that's called dishonor. And in a court of law, whoever goes into dishonor loses. So you do not want to.
So you do not want to be the starter of a controversy.
Go in dishonor. You want to be like, yo, what's up, my boy? That's kind of how you want to do it. So it says there, no dispute is active or current involving your offer, and acceptance is contingent on the conditions in this affidavit. Now, like I said, this was involving a workers' comp audit. So there was an audit done, whatever. They just kind of cooked up this number, 13 grand or something like that. And it's like, they just kind of made it out of thin air. And then this kind of how this whole thing started, right? So all the original documentation, everything they mailed me, all the statements, every single thing they ever mailed me went into a parcel, and it went with the conditional acceptance. Now, why is that? Because you're accepting all of the communications.
A record. I don't have the entire Social Security record, but they do, and they're required to assist us in everything in regards to an internationally protected person. So that means they have to answer all of my questions.
And then when you get a communication and you accept it and you don't rebut it, it becomes truth and law. So their 13 grand wasn't true at all. And then because I didn't respond to it, it became true in a way. So what you're doing with the conditional acceptance is you're collecting up everything.
The presumption of facts obtained a standing in law as fact because they weren't rebutted. It's the legal fiction still. The definition of the legal fiction is a presumption of the facts presented to the court that haven't been rebutted appropriately.
You're sticking it all inside the parcel and you're sending it all back. You're like, yo, you guys sent me all this shit. Like, here's the conditional acceptance, and then here's all your shit back because I'm rejecting it. So that's how you like basically reject it, right? You want to collect all that shit together and send it back. All right, let's go to the next section here. We have the conditional acceptance to your offer establishes a common law contract between us under the postal rule, which states the postal rule. I have a light right here, so I have to kind of like duck and weave like a boxer to read this. So
are you paying attention? Postal rule. See, once you put it in the hands of a postal service worker who is a registered agent of the Global Postal Trust Services, see, it's about international contracts, folks. And those treaties work their way all the way down to your local municipality. If they're going to violate you, they're violating an international treaty by violating an internationally protected person. Don't you get it?
also,
but it's only because you made the false claim of being a resident, tenant, occupant, itinerant, whatever, dweller, temporary resident, permanent resident, United States national, United States citizen.
Known as the mailbox rule or deposited acceptance rule, is a term of common law contracts which determines the timing of acceptance of an offer when mail is contemplated as the medium of acceptance. So,
and this is what proves that all contracts are accessible in equity as a remedy. Okay? Let's go back and listen to that again.
Cool. I have a light right here, so I have to kind of like duck and weave like a boxer to read this. So also known as the mailbox rule or deposited acceptance rule, is a term of common
acceptance
law contracts which determines the timing of acceptance of an offer when mail is contemplated as the medium of acceptance. So blah 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 blah. Basically, this is a really complicated way of saying that when you start to clear up the words about postage and about courts and about banks and about it, all the roads kind of lead to the same place. It's kind of creepy, actually. So
roads lead to the post office.
So really, the post office, and when you send mail, it's technically, when you do it like registered mail, it becomes a court. So I know that's really confusing, but I'm trying to make this not 20 hours long or something. So when you serve someone document,
because everything postal worldwide is Her Majesty's Customs Union, which is the Universal Postal Union, and they have their own Union Customs Code, UCC, at the international level, known as a harmonized tax or harmonized tariff. It's all related to Her Majesty. That's why you can write Her Majesty's Mail on your envelope where the stamp goes, and they'll send it.
documents, you're basically like creating the court. Essentially, you're creating, you're serving them documents, kind of like when you hear of someone getting served documentation for something outside of their home or something like that about, let's say, you know, alimony or child support, and they get served documents. It's kind of the same idea. You're serving someone through the mail. So that's what,
and like I said, the registered agent is the United States Postal Service. Each country that has a postal service, that postal service is the registered agent for the global postal trust services of that Universal Postal Union, which is Her Majesty's Labor Union. So it is the principal is the royal houses.
That's the reason they make you swear in when you join the postal service. That makes a lot of fucking sense.
Absolutely.
Because it's a sworn in position, even if you're a temporary employee, it's still a sworn in position if you work for the post office.
Absolutely. They're international. They're international.
this particular section is all about. You're just telling them, hey, once you guys sign for this, we have a contract. Section A, definitions. Now, the way definitions works, in this first conditional acceptance, you can put whatever definitions in here you want. You could literally, I could go in here right now, and I could go like this, and I could go like this, and I could go like this. I could say the definition of elephant. This is going to blow your mind. This is the way fucking law really works, right? You could literally say elephant, and then you can say, you can define elephant as a four-legged, no, let's make it really, really stupid. Let's say a two-wheeled cart painted red used for the purposes of transporting carrots from Pennsylvania.
In just 2 weeks, I lost 36.
I hate commercials.
I have more energy, better mood. I feel attractive.
Pennsylvania to Ohio on Sundays. You could literally do the dumbest shit you ever heard in your entire life, right? Now, for the remainder of this fucking document, the definition of elephant is a two-wheel cart painted red used for purposes of transporting carrots from Pennsylvania to Ohio on Sundays. And
they will let it ride because they don't want to bring controversy.
Well, that depends on what the word is.
Exactly. Another one is Kerry Zoltan. Kerry Zoltan. I'll have to pull him up and watch a little bit of him again, but I did a video on him a while back, and he's the same way. Is that shirt blue? And he says green. He says no, that's green, and he's not bringing controversy, but he's showing idiocy. He doesn't know. He doesn't understand what's blue mean. So it's the thing about acting like an idiot from Kerry Zoltan's perspective, and that's this here. You could literally act like an idiot in a document, and they would have to accept it. Remember, they're the trustee. Keith, use uBlock origin extension. I'll check it out. I'll check it out. It blocks the stupid ass YouTube ads. Gotcha. Gotcha. Thank you kindly. All right.
That's how it's always going to be. So what if I called this definition United States? Now, United States from that point forward in this document and all through any court cases or anything is going to be called, and they have to go by my definition, a two-wheel cart painted red used for purposes of transporting carrots from Pennsylvania to Ohio on Sundays. It's fucking insane. So I didn't do that on this document. All I did was I actually took already previously defined words from certain sections of Black's Law. I like Black's Law 4th edition the most. So this first one, consideration, Black's Law 4th edition. So we have the definition, consideration is not to be confounded with motive. It means something. Oh, here we go. Consideration means something which is of value in the eye of the law, moving from the plaintiff, either of benefit to the plaintiff or of detriment to the defendant. Nothing is consideration that is not regarded as such by both parties. This is really important. So if you see this a lot in relationships, you know what I mean? If I give you something and I say, oh, but I gave you, but I hung out with you last weekend, or, oh, but I gave you that chocolate box or whatever, like the nice guy, he's always like trying to get laid. Oh, but I always take your calls and I always listen to you whenever you're upset and you want to talk about other boys, So nothing is consideration. Now, consideration is, God, these definitions, man, I'm telling you. So here we go. Any benefit conferred or agreed to be conferred upon the promisor by any other person to which the promisor is not lawfully entitled. Let's see. So basically, consideration is like something.
And real quick here, before we get too much farther, you notice he said, it says here either of benefit to the plaintiff or of detriment to the defendant. And this is from Black's Law, right? So this is case law that they've set up, and they said in there either of benefit to the plaintiff or of detriment to the defendant. I'm going to show you something here, folks. This is Form AO430, Administrative Office of the United States Courts. And on this form, recognize that this is a box right here. See my cursor going around? There's a box right there, and it's got 4 elements in it: plaintiff, other, government, and debtor. Okay? So these are all of like kind. These are all of like kind because they're in this box. This box over here has 3: defendant, other, and creditor. They're of like kind. The defendant is the creditor. The plaintiff is the debtor. And what did that case law say? Either of benefit to the plaintiff or of detriment to the defendant. They're being detrimental to the creditor. Again, the internationally protected person. If not for the creditor, where does the United States get its credit? Remember the thing about the credit score? If there's a credit score, isn't there a debt score?
Yep.
The United States is holding the debt score. Who's supposed to hold the credit score?
Something of value that you're exchanging. But keep in mind, this is really, really important. Nothing is consideration that is not regarded as such by both parties. If I give you this fucking gun.
Orcam Read for people with reading difficulties. Meet the Orcam Read.
And I say, here you go. And you're like, I don't like guns. Guns scare the fuck out of me. I don't want it.
So what's the big issue about guns on YouTube? Huh? He even cocked it and everything. What's the matter, you fucking cowards? See, this is what happens when you know the truth. You're at liberty to do at your will, so long as you don't harm, damage, or injure anybody. All educational material, folks. You better pay attention and start learning.
It's not consideration. If the other person doesn't consider it, as such, it's like it's not valuable to me. Like if I were to give you a bunch of mud and I'm from a mud village and I'm like, oh dude, check out this mud. And you're like, it's not consideration for me. It's not consideration. So the definition of consideration is, something of value, and value is totally subjective. So you got to think like something I could consider valuable is completely different than what somebody else would consider valuable. So keep that in mind. Consideration has to be regarded as such by both parties. Very, very fucking important. And I'm in the middle of writing a whole thing on the 8 points of a contract, but just for the sake of this.
Interesting. I did an article myself about 6 years ago on the 8 points of contracts. I'll have to look it up, pull it up, and do a video on that.
Conditional acceptance. We're going to go through some of this stuff, right? So just a whole lot of different definitions of consideration. Then we have the definition of failure of consideration. This term does not mean a want of consideration, but implies that a consideration originally existing and good has since become worthless or ceased to exist or been extinguished partially or entirely. It means that sufficient consideration was contemplated by the parties at the time the contract was entered into, but either on account of some innate defect in the thing to be given or non-performance in whole or in part of that which the promisee agreed to do or forbear, nothing of value can be received. So if I say, look, dude, you pay me $500 and then, this is an insurance policy. So it's like.
So when I give them the terms of this lease agreement, I can tell them lease agreement, definition of lease agreement means credit agreement. I can then turn around and tell them resident, occupant, tenant means child of God or sojourner. Whatever I want to put in there to help clarify things is what that means to me. Pay attention.
Perfect. Failure of consideration just annihilates this whole fucking audit, right? Like just blows the back of their fucking skull out. Because think about it. I'm paying you because I'm saying like, yo, if there's something that happens with my workers, then like you're going to help me like pay for it if something happens, right? And they're like, oh yeah, no problem, bro. I got you.
And in doing so, I get the opportunity to equalize the detriment and benefit. So rather than allowing a use of a term like resident, tenant, or occupant be used at my detriment, I can use it to my benefit by making it beneficial, by defining it. Don't you get it? A definition is just another man's opinion. I've said that for many years.
That sounds like abracadabra. As I speak, so I create.
Absolutely. Who are they to argue? That's the word written in my heart.
Then you pay them, but there's never any claim on the insurance policy. So it's failure of consideration. They promised that they would do something, but then that thing never happened. So they never gave.
And remember, I did a video on the insurance thing here a couple of weeks ago, I think. I'll go see if I can pull that up too real quick. And that's what I talked about there. When you have an insurance and it goes for 30 days and they want you to pay for it, that's a premium. Now, upon the claim of the insurance, you're supposed to receive a benefit, but you never receive a benefit. So what do? You turn around and sign another, or because you signed the original insurance claim without qualifying it properly, they took all the rights, titles, and interest in that property, and that includes the benefit. So you don't get to receive a benefit. So now if you want to try it again, you can pay them another premium the next month. And people try it over and over again, every month, all their life. And they fail every time. Why don't you learn how to qualify that signature and make sure you receive your benefit?
Give you anything of consideration. So without proper consideration, no contract, bitch. So that's kind of how that works. So that's kind of why I put that definition there. Want of consideration. Again, that one's from Black's Law 4th edition. And that's all I put in the definition section because it's honestly all I need. Like already, without even writing anything more, this whole thing is basically over. Like they're fucked, literally, and they know
it. Absolutely. Remember what I explained about that term consideration. Break it down. You've got two words with a prefix. Con means with. Side, ration. With side rations.
But by the time they read that, right? So then we have Section B, facts and events. No claims are ever made on this policy. Again, where's the consideration? Like, there is no consideration. It's a want of consideration. Thus, there was no contract.
I'm going to go back and get that video. So if I am not back right away, that's what I'm doing. But please pay attention. And Nubs, again, feel free to speak up. I'm going to go ahead and drop the StreamYard link down there in case anybody else wants to jump up as well.
Thus, there is no contract. Thus, there is no debt. Bye-bye. That's the way it works. It's really, really simple. Conditions of acceptance. Now, if they want to go forward, it's like I said before. It's like, what's up, boy? My boy. I love you, dog. What's up? I am so down with your offer. But I just need a few things in order to do this. So please provide a detailed breakdown as to exactly how this debt was calculated to be, tables, exact mathematical equations, etc. Please provide evidence of consideration beyond any reasonable doubt that equals or exceeds all money paid into this policy throughout the life of the policy in relation to the number of claims made on the policy, which are 0, which means you're fucked, Provide evidence showing beyond a shadow of a doubt that there is no want of consideration as regards to this policy. Can't be done. You're fucked. Number 4, as per my rights under the FDCPA. Now, the FDCPA is basically
the practice you are about to learn is almost
when you have a credit card company or when you have any company that takes on the debt as a debt collector for another entity, whether they bought the debt or whether they're just acting as an agent for that debt, it falls under the FDCPA. So the FDCPA explains and has exact rules as to what debt collectors can do and what they can't do. So basically, one of the things that you can do under the FDCPA, which is dope, which is why you should let all your shit go to collections before you do this, because you have way more power after the shit goes to collections than you do before it goes to collections. Like you're literally like, you don't think so. It doesn't make sense. You're like, oh, I'm in collections. This sucks. No. Once you're in collections, you're like locked and loaded. You're like fucking Rambo. You're like ready to go. So under FDCPA, you can actually force them to provide evidence, like tons of evidence, like proof that McCarthy, Burgess, and Wolf owns this debt or has been assigned this debt, full account history since the inception of this account, including all fees added from the beginning of time up to present, seesaw communications and collections of this debt until all conditions of this conditional acceptance have been met, positive proof that this debt is owed, not simply a computer printout, any other aspects of the FDCPA that need to be shown in order for a debt to be considered validated. That is a fucking pain in the ass to do all that. And some of that probably isn't even possible to even offer. And now, if they can't get it to you, bye-bye. The debt's gone. So a couple star.
Do you guys understand that? This goes again to the integrity of the record. And if they can't bring forth a valid and true record, then it's over with. Case over. Game over. Errors and omissions aren't acceptable. Lies are not acceptable. Again, they're required to assist us. We are the creditors. We are the ones that internationally protected person was created for. The benefactor to the beneficiary. And I dropped that link. Prepaid insurances. Watch that video.
points I just put here. Please have all above points sent back as a notarized affidavit of truth by an individual human swearing under oath the truth and accuracy of each point. So the business itself cannot write an affidavit of truth. Only an individual human being can write an affidavit of truth. So what you're saying is that one human being in your business has to stick their long, disgusting fucking neck out on the chopping block and say, I say that all this information is true under penalty of perjury, right? And they sign it and they get it notarized and they have to send it back to you. So when you do that, you make them sweat because they're sweating now. They're like, oh, do you want to do this? Like, no, bro. No, bro. Do you want to do this? Like, nah, dude, I'm good. I'm good, dude. So it's one of those things where you put them against a wall and nobody wants to fucking be that guy. So nobody bees that guy. And then
So learn how to speak boldly as you ought to. Make sure that you put your words down, your definitions, and then they can't dispute them. That's two witnesses. They agree. That's how contracts work.
They only have so much time to respond to this thing. If they don't, then it's fucking discharge. So next part, precedent has already been set that until this debt is fully validated, legal action is not permitted. That's from Spears versus Brennan. So you guys can use that.
If you're an older adult wanting to learn guitar, I have a question for you. What's the difference between a guitar
And that's
Precedent has already been set that until this debt is fully validated, legal action is not permitted. Do you understand that? Think about that for a second. What do you think that means, Nubs?
Sounds like he was pretty accurate in his definition. You're fucked. You can't come after me.
Absolutely. But it means that any case that has already been adjudicated without being fully validated was adjudicated unlawfully. Oops. None of those debts were fully validated. So if you've got a claim of debt that somebody came after you and got some money out of your bank account like they did with my companion, you just write them a letter and ask them one question. Was the debt fully validated? And when they try to say, yeah, I say, well, as far as I see in the record, there's nothing but a presumption of the facts that were never rebutted. Oops. I'm here to rebut them. I'm going to speak boldly as I ought to. And I'm going to do it anywhere. I don't give a fuck about your courts.
You know, this sounds like a letter that could very easily be sent out for non crimes to a judge. It would need some tweaking, but
no, absolutely, that's what I'm talking about. They just came and got $3,800 from my companion's account, and understand she's been retired for a number of years, and she worked for the government as a public school teacher. Now she's not a resident, tenant, or occupant. She's retired, and they violated her person, the internationally protected person, without validating the debt.
right. But what I'm saying though is on stupid shit that you get that notice from the city or whatever, this could easily be written to the judge and the same results because you're accepting it for the value that it is.
Well, yeah, for like your traffic tickets, those are contracts.
Right.
In the form of a security interest or security instrument. Right. You have to place your interest in it. That's your considerations. Put them down.
Yep.
Traffic means leisure.
Yep.
Citation means smile. So this guy just gave me a leisure smile.
That's actually true. They
Isn't
can't do
that-
shit until they.
What?
That's just so fucked up. Like, if you think about it, we should not have to have these kinds of conversations in a free society.
Well, you know how stupid it would get if people catch on to this.
Yeah.
The judges will catch on real quick. Wait a minute.
Yep. Because they'll be liable.
Well, exactly. People are no longer going to be willing to put their neck on the line because they know they don't have to. They'll know that it's the judge's neck that's on the line, the prosecutor, the judicial officer known as the court clerk.
That way you flip the paper over to the blank side and said, "Sir, I don't see anything here."
Yep.
Limitations of time. Now I know a lot of guys out there, they like to be fucking assholes, and they just love to put like 14 days or 10 days or something like that. You can do that. I'm not trying to be a dick, as you can tell in this conditional acceptance. I don't recommend it. I think it pushes you into dishonor. But there's a lot of dudes out there saying a lot of different things. Do whatever the fuck you want to do. Check out other people's shit. I don't give a fuck. This is free. Fuck you. That's basically how this works. So basically,
love him.
I'm always thinking in my head, how can I create honor and not dishonor? Which means, how can I basically calmly and happily and with merit.
If you want equity, you got to come with equity. If you want peace, you got to come with peace. If you want love, you got to come with love. If you want honor, you got to come with honor. It's that pimp thing Paul always talks about. It's the top of the line is the principles, the moral principles.
How can I just kind of hand the ball back to him and be like, yo, brother, like we're playing a game of basketball, rather than, pull out my pistol here and start firing, which that's really not going to be good. That's a fast way to wind up in a courtroom, by the way. So the better you can do in terms of.
Notice he said that's a fast way to wind up in a courtroom. He's agreeing you shouldn't be in them courtrooms. That's why he's not in courtrooms. He's avoiding them by doing things in the contracts and correcting them to his benefit.
Not creating dishonor.
Rather than to the detriment of a defendant.
The farther away you will be from getting forced into a courtroom. So if you want to get forced into a courtroom, here you go, brother. This is how you do it right here. Take that bad boy and go fucking nuts, because you're going to wind up in a courtroom and it's not going to be fun and it's going to fucking suck unless you are extremely good at this shit. I don't even know if I could do it. So I'm assuming most of the people who are going to be watching this, all my fans, love you. You probably want to stay out of a courtroom. So fucking stay out of the courtroom. And the way that you do that is you allow for no dishonor. I mean, here we can actually just go into Black's Law and see if there's a definition of dishonor.
That's why they want a competency test.
This is so fucking important.
They want to see if they've driven you mad.
Of a conditional acceptance is to.
They want to see if they've driven you mad, and that was meant to be punny.
Not wind up in a courtroom, because as long as there's no dishonor and there's no dispute, then there's no court case. So it's really simple. But you start fucking firing off rounds and being a dick with a big fucking hard dick, and it's not gonna be fun. So let's see. Dishonor.
I'm cutting enough protein in. Just Beats makes it really easy.
Dishonor. In mercantile law, hold on, let me just scroll down. In mercantile law and usage, to refuse or decline to accept a bill of exchange, or to refuse or neglect to pay a bill or note at maturity. So essentially it's to tell someone to go fuck themselves.
Refuse. That's pollution. Refuse. Again, mirror of pollution. The video I did earlier today. Go watch it. I covered it. This guy's spot on.
So if you want to do that, be my guest and have fun in court. So from the point of the signature receipt of this conditional acceptance, as per the postal code listed above, you have 30 days. It's a lot of time. I give them a lot of time from receipt to fully address each of the above points, point by point. Otherwise, the matter will be considered settled and paid in full with regards to account number blank, policy number blank after 30 days. If no response is given, please send a receipt showing the account paid in full. If additional time is needed, please do not hesitate to request additional time via email to myself or my team, and my approval will need to be in writing to be considered an official extension of time, either via email or via letter. Avouchment, this is basically the notarization. I, blah, blah, blah. Now, the person who I wrote this for, obviously.
Avouchment. Not an affirmation, not a testimony. Avouchment.
They read the whole thing, understood the whole thing, clarified.
Remember the terms endorse and endorse. Endorse is a signature on an instrument. Endorse is when you vouch for somebody else. I vouch for President Trump. That's an endorsement. Then you go to the polls and you endorse. Whereas you write your signature on an instrument, that's an endorsement. In and N.
The whole thing and agree with the whole thing before notarizing. You do not notarize shit you do not understand. You do not notarize shit you do not agree with. That is fucking stupid. The definition of notarizing is to sign something under penalty of perjury. You're going to commit perjury. You are fucked. Don't do it. So anytime somebody gives you anything, you read it. If you don't understand it and you can't figure it out, don't fucking sign it. Don't fucking notarize it ever. So I made sure that he understood this. He knew what he was reading. He knew what he was doing. He agreed with everything. He was tracking. He saw it all. He saw the definitions. He saw each of the points. I checked to make sure that he got it. And I could tell he had a really good understanding of what he was doing. And then boom, we had it notarized. Then you get a notarization here. This is just a standard notarization form. And there you go. So this thing just saved me $13,000. And it took me quite a lot of work to put it together because it was my first time ever doing this. I was really proud of it. Oh man, I was like on cloud 9 when I finished this thing. So and
notice the date was April 19th, 2022. We're coming up on almost 2 years now. So pay attention, folks. This isn't somebody that's just at it. He's been doing it for a couple years. He's been studying for a number of years. He's putting it together, not just in the credit thing, but in all areas of his life. Because it permeates every aspect of your life. Again, every interaction you have with another being is some sort of contract. Be honorable.
They were calling me. They were sending me emails. They were sending me letters. As soon as this was signed for, immediately all the communication stopped. 30 days went by, and that was it. They never tried to contact me again. They never did anything ever again. So yeah, it is ultra powerful. Conditional acceptance. That breaks down this conditional acceptance.
Love you too, brother Norm. Love you too. Tell Matt I said hi. Tell him he needs to get a hold of me.
And the next one that I'm going to be doing is 1,000,000 times better. So this one is good, though. This one is like ultra simple. You're going to find a lot of ones online that are like fucked and they're really, really complicated. They're really, really complicated.
And this is why it's important, folks. You learn how to make things simple. Simplification is the best way around things. Like I said, in this lease agreement, it's going to be lease agreement. Definition of lease agreement means credit agreement. Okay, what's he going to do? Deny me credit? Is he going to deny me informed use of credit? Is he going to deny that once I deposit something in his financial institution, financial depository institution, that where he's obligated to give credit if he hasn't already? That's the way circulation works, folks. It's called currency. It goes round and round and round, round and round and round and round and round in infinity.
So fucking simple. This is the way I like to do it. I do like to write something that someone on the other end can actually fucking read. I understand that making it super complicated and making it almost impossible to read is like a nice, like, offensive tactic to prevent the other person from responding. I think that's fucking dumb. I think that creates dishonor personally. Maybe it doesn't, but I feel like it does.
What he's talking about there, I think, is when people confuse the processes. Again, in contracts, it's a peace treaty. So there's no controversy. There's no dispute. And they have to act in peace too, because they want what they want. Okay? And the only way they're going to get it is by not warring. They know this. It should be inherent. But what he's talking about here is people that are confusing things like admissions in contracts. No, what you're doing is you're denying the contract by saying the terms aren't right and there's no remedy, so you deny the contract. In equity, you have to create your own remedy. So what do? You create your own damn definitions. Coin your words or purse your fucking lips.
So I think it should be consumable as much as possible. So there you go. I hope this video helps you guys. I will be making more videos. I hope you guys check out my theory page on onestupidfuck.com.
onestupidfuck.com. Look it up. I love the title. onestupidfuck.com. What do you think, brother?
I like it. It makes the word. I like how he words it. I like his tactic towards it.
Well, yeah, he's, like I said, he's very astute and knowledgeable. He knows the words, and he's clarifying it, and that's what I'm trying to explain to you people.
Well, it's almost as if he's going in under the true meaning of the parlay. You know, we're here to play.
Yep.
We're not here to kill each other. We're here to play.
Well, and notice how he did the names and stuff. You know, he did them grammatically correct, the last name first, or the first two given names with the hyphen, and then the full and colon stop, and then family of, one or the other. If it's in the front, it's the family name first, full colon stop, and then the given name with a hyphen and the second name. And then if you do it with the given name hyphen second name full colon stop, then you put family of. So very distinct and clarified. And again, you know, it's mankind's most powerful weapon or tool is his mind. Learn how to use it. And with that, brings us to the end of our thing. I do want to put a little educational thing here on the end. I want to say thank you. That's sign language for thank you. And then one important sign language I want to teach everybody, no matter where you're at, if you need some kind of help, always open palm, thumb in, roll fingers. And it's not just this. This is not help. The action creates the action noun of help in sign language. So it's an action sign. Start with your open palm, thumb out, curl the thumb in, then curl the fingers over. Help. 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 And with that, I love you. You got anything else?
No, not really. I appreciate your broadcast today.
Awesome. Awesome. And again, I'm going to urge everybody to go back and look at that video I did earlier today. Mirror of pollution. Mirror of pollution. It will
Are you
blow
saying
your
pollution with an FL?
pollution. 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 Mirror of pollution. The man in the mirror is the unclean one, not yourself. Go watch it. And in the meantime, remember, I love you, but I don't give a rat's ass whether you love me back. And that's to say, I don't care if you hate me. So may you be blessed by God and have a good night.